Hello again, maths fans. This is simultaneous equations, the elimination method, part 2. So in the first part, we had two equations, and we either took one equation away from the other, or we added those two equations together to eliminate one of the variables, the x or the y, to get rid of an x or a y. In this example, I could add these, I could subtract them. I'm not going to eliminate anything yet. So I need to manipulate one of these using good maths so that I can then take one away from the other to eliminate a variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this top equation and I'm going to get the same number of y's in the top equation as in the bottom. You can do it with the x's or the y's. In this case, it's easier with the y's because if I multiply by 4, I'm going to get 8y here. But to keep this equation true, I need to multiply everything by 4. Okay? So I'm going to multiply the whole top equation by 4, and I get 16x plus 8y equals, I think that's 96. Now I've got a new equation. I'm going to kind of remember that I don't need that one anymore. So now let's label this one equation number 1. And I'm going to go for number 1 minus number 2. I could call this number 3, doesn't really matter what you call these, A, B, anything. So equation 1, subtract equation 2 here. 16x minus 5x is 11x. 8y minus 8y is 0, good news. And 96 minus 19 is going to be 77. And so now I'm going to divide by 11. And I get x equals 7. Second thing, substitute into an equation. Let's substitute into, I can do the one I've crossed out, I could do the second one, I could do the third one, doesn't really matter. I'll do the one I've crossed out. So 4 lots of x is 7, plus 2 lots of y equals 24. 4 sevens, 28, plus 2y is 24. Now we're going to take 28 from both sides. 24 minus 28 is negative 4, divide by 2, and y equals negative 2. And do remember to check your answer. So let's substitute into this one. So, well, let's do the top one first. 4 times 7 is 28. 2 times minus 2 is 24. It works. 5 times 7 is 35. 8 times minus 2, so 8 times minus 2 is minus 16. Is 35 minus 16, 19? Yes, it is. I can self-check these if I so desire. Okay, one for you to try then. So, the key thing is to try and get the same number of y's or x's so that you can then subtract or add and cancel them out. So here is one for you to try. Got two equations there. I think I would probably start by multiplying the bottom equation by 2. Give it a go. Pause the video now, and then I'll give the answer in a second. Pause the video. All right, here's your answer. So, I'm going to multiply this second equation all by 2 so that I get 2y in the bottom equation and 2y in the top equation. So when I do that, I get 6x plus 2y equals 34. Just so I remember not to use that one. Now let's call that equation 1 and that equation 2. And let's do, numbers are bigger here, so I'm going to do equation 2 minus equation 1. Okay, 6x minus 4x, that's 2x. 2y minus 2y is 0. And 34 minus 24 is 10. Divide by 2, x equals 5. Now we'll substitute. Put that x equals 5 in here, and we get 4 times 5 plus 2y equals 24. And so we end up with 2y equals 4, y equals 2. All right, checking that answer. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 plus 2 times 2 is 4. 20 plus 4 is indeed 24. Check it with this second equation. 3 times 5 is 15. Y is 2. 15 add 2 is 17. It works. Okay, moving on. Slightly more tricky now is when we've got two equations here. Now these two equations, I can't just multiply one, I'm going to have to manipulate both equations. To get the same number of x's or the same number of y's, I'm going to need to do something to both equations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the same number of x's. You can choose either, it doesn't really matter. In order to do that, I need a common multiple of 3 and 4. I know that 3 and 4 both go into 12, so I'm aiming to get 12x at the front and 12x at the front of this. To get 12x here, I'm going to have to multiply by 3, so multiply everything by 3. To get 12x here, I'm going to need to multiply by 4, so multiply everything by 4. Okay, so this first one, 4x times 3 is 12x, 3y times 3 is 9y, and then 19 times 3 is 57. On the bottom, 3x times 4 is 12x, 4y times 4 is 16y, and then 16 times 4 is 64. So now I've got some new equations, call them what you want, let's call them 3 and 4. I'm going to do equation 4 minus equation 3, and 12x minus 12x is 0, 16y minus 9y, 7y, and 64 minus 57 is 7. I think we can spot that y equals 1. Then we need to substitute, and when we substitute, let's take the first equation. So we've got 4x plus 3y is 1 equals 19. So 4x plus 3 equals 19. Take away the 3 and we get 4x equals 16, x equals 4. Just check it. 4 times 4 is 16, 3 times 1 is 3, 16 plus 3 is 19. Check it here, 3 times 4 is 12, 4 times 1 is 4, 12 plus 4 is 16. We got it right. Good news. Okay, now one for you to try. So you're going to need to multiply both equations to try and get the x's or the y's the same. If you're not sure where to start, my advice would be try and make the x's the same times the top one by 2 times the bottom one by 5. Anyway, pause it, give it a go, and then we'll give you the answer in a sec. And here's the answer. So the way I'm going to do this is to times the top one by 2 and the bottom one by 5 so that I've got 10x at the front of both. I'm looking to get it nice and balanced, 10x on both. So if I times this by 2, I must multiply everything by 2, and here I must multiply everything by 5. So this top one, 5x times 2 is 10x, 3y times 2 is 6y, and 15 times 2 is 30. On the bottom there, 4y times 5 is 20y, and minus 8 times 5 is minus 40. Okay, now I've got two equations, label them what you want. I think I'm going to try, it doesn't matter which way around to do this, but I'm going to do 2 minus 1. So 10x minus 10x is 0, 20y minus 6y is 14y, minus 40 minus 30 is minus 70. Careful with your negatives. Divide by 14 and we get y equals negative 5. Now we're going to substitute that in, and we'll substitute into equation number 1. So 5 lots of x plus 3 lots of y plus 3 lots of y is minus 5 equals 15. So we get 5x minus 15 equals 15. Add 15 to both sides and we get 5x equals 30. Divide by 5 and x equals 6. And of course, you'll check it, but I'm going to spin on to the next one. Hopefully you got that one right. And here is one more for you to try. Little bit of an extra challenge because there's some negatives in there. Give it a go. Make the x's or the y's the same, and then see if you can solve it. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing I did on the last one, times by 2 and times by 5, and we'll just see how we do with the negatives. So times 2 times 2 times 2 gives us 10x plus 6y equals 8 on the bottom, times by 5 times by 5 times by 5 gives me 10x minus 10y equals minus 40. Okay, this one is ever so slightly different from the previous one. When I subtract here, I've got to be very careful. Let's do equation 1 minus equation 2. 10x minus 10x is 0. 6y minus minus 10y is 16y. And 8 minus minus 40 is 48. Okay, divide by 16 and y equals 3. Substitute that in and we get 5x plus 3 lots of 3 equals 4. 5x plus 9 equals 4. Subtract 9 and x equals negative 1. All right. Plenty for you to be thinking about there. Go and practice this. Loads and loads of practice is how you're going to get better at simultaneous equations. Thanks for listening.